Himesh Patel joins Ryan Coogler's X-Files reboot opposite Danielle Deadweiler. So there they are. That's your new agents. I think this is from some other show. I don't think she's, it looks like, yeah. Anyway, Ryan Coogler's X-Files reboot keeps adding to its new cast. Himesh Patel has now joined the Hulu pilot opposite Danielle Deadweiler, with both actors playing new original characters rather than legacy roles tied to the classic series. Well, that's probably the best thing said about this, because one was wearing, this is the new Scully and Mulder, And by that, I mean, he would be Scully and she would be Mulder, But whatever, and that sort of thing. And they keep calling it Reboot, so it might not even be like a sequel series to the original show. I don't know. But nevertheless, at least they're new original characters. And that's a better approach than, swapping the originals. Don't do that. So anyway, Deadline first reported Patel's casting, and Variety also reported that he will star alongside Deadweiler in the pilot. Well, yes. So the actor confirmed on Instagram. So it's all true. He's in the show. Coogler is writing and directing the pilot for the new X-Files. The story centers on two highly decorated but very different FBI agents who are assigned to a long, shuttered division focused on cases involving unexplained phenomena. Hey, that's just like the original show. So maybe it does take place in the same universe as the original, and it's years later, of course, and they shuttered the X-Files. But now they're going to open it back up again and dust off the old filing cabinets and the I Want to Believe poster and all that. Maybe that, so it could be that. Still, like I said, it's best that they're playing new characters and not, the originals. Anyway, Deadweiler and Patel play those two agents, who form an unlikely bond as they take on the paranormal. Yeah, at first they're at odds, but eventually they can't keep their hands off each other. Coogler had previously said the show is a personal project for him. Didn't he say that about all of his projects? Anyway, and that he wants to do right by both fans and his mother, who it turns out by a staggering coincidence is also a big fan of the original series. He also previously teased that if they do it right, some of the episodes will be really effing scary, signaling that horror remains a big part of the plan. Well, yes. It has monsters in it. Anyway, Jennifer Yale is attached as showrunner. Original X-Files creator Chris Carter is also executive producing, because what else is he got to do, alongside Coogler and Proximity Media. Hey, will these guys show up? I don't know. With Patel and Deadweiler confirmed as the new central pair, the reboot appears to be fully committed to original lead characters. That said, there is still no confirmation about whether Gillian Anderson or David Duchovny will appear. Well, see, it could be their turn to do what Darren McGavin did for the show, because Kolchak the Night Stalker was a big influence on Chris Carter doing this show. So see, now it's your turn. Anyway, Anderson recently did say good things about Coogler's take. He's such a cool guy and so talented. Oh, yeah, and the pilot script is really good. So she was allowed to read it. Yeah, I'm thinking she's going to make a cameo or something in the show. Yeah, maybe just one episode or something like that, but more than likely. As for Duchovny, I don't know. Maybe. Anyway, she added, I would say I have an open mind. I would say have an open mind and give it a chance, because it's going to be effing cool. Well, I mean, it's subjective, so you don't know for sure. Anyway, it's something different. It's an old show being revived. So it's not entirely different. And the only difference appears to be skin and genitals. Well, not genitals this time, I guess. Or maybe. No, the original character. So it's a race. Well, it's not a race swap. They're doing an original. That's true. Yeah. So that's really the only difference, is that the leads aren't white. So far, Anyway, it's different. And it's special. So give it a break. Yeah. Well, the thing about something like X-Files is you got to ask, what's the next story to tell? And it ultimately centered around Scully and Mulder. There was all the mysteries, mostly aliens, and all that, and all the weird stuff that they would go through and all that. But I think it played out, So she's saying it's really different. What would be the new angle? I mean, well, there's a lot more conspiracy theories. Yes, because of the time, there's always a new one gets developed, and all that. But that's not different. There was conspiracy theories all over the place in X-Files. It was the heart and soul of the thing, So there's really nothing different. Is there really? It's just an established brand that had a huge fan base, and you want to exploit that. That's why there's a new show. Now, if you're going to do this, where you're going to have, Himesh here and Danielle, and then say any criticism of the show, it's because you're some sort of bigot. Once again, that'll be, you can't help but get there that's the thinking, because they do it every time. If the show is just to continue this idea, you could do an original one, and there have been shows that are similar and stuff like that. That would be a different take and whatnot. But to take the brand name and do this, and then immediately exploit people like this for that, just because you're going to slap job some redos of old shows, and then call everybody a bigot if they don't like it. How's that working out? It didn't. That argument, such that it was or is, or however you want to put it, is over. So, there might probably be some pretty good episodes out of this. That might be. But every time this happens, and it's an uphill battle and whatnot. So and especially with X-Files, like I said, I think it's played out. I don't know that what's the next story to tell. I mean, well, these are new characters, and they weren't involved in the original cases and whatnot. Now they got to look into it and all that. And maybe you could cobble something there, and it might work out, and have a fairly good run. But again, it's just, however unfair it might be, if they do basic shows, that's your best bet of, mystery and, science fiction and supernatural horror and that kind of thing. Good. But if you're just going to default to the templates we've seen with Doctor Who and Star Trek and all that stuff, Star Wars, and then, it's dead on arrival. So that's the unfairness of it. Is it immediately solid to say, oh, look, two people of color taking the lead roles instantly means it's only a woke show and all that? That's not necessarily fair. It isn't. It looks like it because that's been the template for years. And I'm going to sit through another show that has the brand name of a show I loved and get beaten up, by it and lectured to and all that. And that's what's going to be the assumption. And this could be very much under one of the unfairness about it. Because the best thing here is they're new original characters. So that's the better approach to this than saying this is Scully and Mulder. Yeah. So at least, they're smart enough to do that. So I guess that gives it something of an edge. But this is the irradiated landscape of wokedom that it left behind. to where you get something like this. And you're just like, yeah, no, I'm not even going to bother. So it might happen. I don't know. But, I'll give them that. Original characters, that's a better approach. That is. So, we'll see. I mean, as far as the comments, it's effing cool. It's effing scary. But yeah, I'll take a look at the pilot when it comes on Hulu and see what I think. Yeah, but it's very, very easy to trigger people for hints of wokeness, and may not even really be there at all. And there may be a credible, logical argument as to how it's not really a woke show. And it won't matter. And that's the sadness of it. Look, if this thing is brilliant, I'm going to say it. It's hard to do because, you're following up on a very successful show. It's not like a show that had, it was kind of cool and had a little, I remember that show. It's kind of silly. And then a follow-up is like brilliant and wow, man, that sort of thing, which is rarely the case. But to just be okay, and it's like, I'm liking this. They got a cool thing here. That would be the best bet. To achieve what X-Files did in the 90s and all that, no, I don't think so. But yeah, it could be a good series. So, again, doing original characters, that's a very big positive for it. Is it really enough to justify doing when you're really just, you're just using the brand name? Because, hey, look, new stuff is hard. It's really hard. Yeah, I know. But yes, original characters is the right approach if you're going to do this at all, which, of course, they're going to. Then I got to give them that. So anyway, we'll see how this turns out.